Hello, it's Ron back here with another video on Ron's YouTube channel where we discuss drones, drone gear, drone firmware updates, drone accessories, drone everything here. And today we're back with another episode of Ron Talk. We haven't done a Ron Talk in a while, so it's time to have that talk again. So the talk today is going to be about the DJI Mavic 3 drone here. Let me get it. Just the Mavic 3 now, not the Mavic 3 Cine, and not the Mavic 3 Classic, just the plain Mavic 3. But this, what I want to talk about today will apply to all the Mavic 3 drones. We got a firmware update just on 12/9/2022, and this one brought a lot of good stuff. This comes on the heels of just about a month before, maybe less than a month before, we got another firmware update for the Mavic 3 series of drones, which brought a lot of great features, such as the cruise control. And let me look back here. I know there was some good stuff on the old one too. Oh, heck, cruise control was great, but that one had the night mode, so that was a knockout firmware update. Those two things on one update, and there was a bunch of other stuff in there too, but they were the big showstoppers there. But this one here, I'm going to give you the firmware update number. I don't get that many phone calls, but as soon as I stop making a video, I get a phone call. Pardon that interruption. The firmware update I'm speaking of is version 01.00.1000. That's the Aircraft Firmware. And all the various controllers have their own firmware numbers. I'm not going to go through all those, because the Mavic 3 Pro will work with all the current controllers, the RCN1, the DJI RC, and the RC Pro remote. And you do need the Fly App version 1.90, and also the same version number for the Android, because you have a smart controller like the two I just mentioned. They'll update themselves. So okay, now what did we get on this firmware update that that really showstopper? You probably already heard. I've already got a video out on this. I'll link the video above someplace here. Waypoints. Ever since this drone came out over a year ago, in November 2021, people have wanted waypoints for the drone. Why? Because top level drones such as the Mavic 2 Pro had firmware updates, and even the Phantom 4 Pro had firmware updates. A lot of DJI drones had waypoints previously to the Fly App arriving, and a lot of people believe the Fly App is what killed kind of waypoints off on all the drones since then. But maybe that was true at the time, but it's not true anymore. Waypoints will work on the DJI Fly App. I've got to test the waypoints out in the field. They're easy to use if you ever used waypoints before. It's full featured. I mean, I'm saying it's full features is something like Litchi, but it's full featured enough for most users. And it works fine. You can check the video out I put up. I mean, I just gave you a rough flight that was I was just a couple hours after I updated the firmware, so I hadn't had to any chance to go through some of the particulars. But the nice thing about these waypoints is, so if I said firmware, I meant waypoints. You'll know what I mean to say when I said, so if I interchange these words, I mean waypoints. So the nice thing about these waypoints is that you can set them by flying to the locations, hitting the C1 button or hitting the plus button down below when you pull the, I'll call it the waypoints, a module up application. I don't know the proper word. But you could also do it without getting the drone in the air. You can just get the controller out, pull the maps up, and if you have Wi-Fi, it's fine. If not, cache the maps. But you get the maps up, and you can assign the waypoints just in the maps themselves. So that is really nice. You don't have to have the drone in the air to set waypoints, or the drone doesn't have to be on to do it, which is, I think, a kind of step up. Because I think of the Mavic 2 Pro, the drone did not have to be in the air, but it had to be on to set the waypoints from a map. But I'm not quite sure about that. But that's the way I remember. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So for anybody who's been clamoring for waypoints since this drone first arrived, you have them. They work well. They're full featured, and that's about all that can be said now. One observation I made about the performance of the waypoints. Again, the waypoints, I only ran one waypoint mission so far, and it was the kind where, I set the waypoints up by flying a drone to a location, hitting the C1 button. But when I did run I did have the drone run the mission, I didn't notice at the time, when I was looking at it in the field, because I didn't really watch it back. I don't know if it popped up as a little box or not, but when I got home and I watched it, and I did watch the resulted waypoint or whatever that it ran on its own. I mean, it looked a lot less robotic than I remember waypoints from other drones and other apps. This summer when the Air 2S got the SDK kit and it was able to run the Litchi app, I ran some waypoint missions on that. And they were good, but they were kind of, just like all kind of waypoints up to that point. Very real robotic. They would go to station to station, but it was like if you looked at the video, it didn't look like I was flying a drone. I mean, again, maybe it was just me because I actually know, what it was like because I was staying there. But it just didn't seem like a person flying a drone. It looked like it was flying robotically. But my point here is the Mini 3. When I looked at the run through of the waypoint, it looked like I was actually flying a drone at the time. It didn't look as robotic as I'd seen in other instances with other DJI drones running waypoints or even running a third-party waypoint app like the Litchi app. It just looked kind of actually I was flying more natural, which I kind of liked. And I don't know if that's because I actually flew the waypoints manually and set them. Versus setting them up on on the controller by pulling the maps out and plotting waypoints. I don't know if that was a difference, but it really looked much more natural than I remembered previous waypoints on DJI drone, and even more natural than what I saw in the Litchi this summer when I ran them on the Air 2S. So just something to keep in mind. The waypoints will even be more something I would use if they look more natural, like a human's flying them, rather than the drones just robotic and moving from station to station, recording videos or taking photos. So, if you have this drone, check it out. See what you think. Am I right on that? Do the waypoints look more natural? Let me know down in the comments. Now, some people are going to say, well, when will waypoints fill themselves down to lower price drones in the DJI line, such as the say the Air 2S, the Mini 3 Pro, the new Mini 3, the DJI Mini 2. I'm going crazy there with the Mini 2, but they didn't say anything whether this will come to any other DJI drones. I have just no guess at all whether it will. I don't, I guess it makes sense for the Air 2S to get it since it's sort of a, kind of semi-professional drone. And will the Mini 3 Pro get it? Is it limited by the internal hardware or software built into the drone, or is it kind of based on the controller at that point? I don't know. So just keep your eyes out for firmware update for the other drones in the coming months to see if they get the Waypoints too. But for right now, it's only the Mavic 3 series of drones. So what else did we get here? They also added 4K, 24 and 25 frames per second resolution for the night mode. Previously, you could only film night mode in 4K 30, so they added some other frame rates. A lot of people like to shoot 24 because that's the cinematic thing. 24, almost all the Hollywood movies are shot at 24 frames per second. So very nice job there. And the final thing that they threw in here was they optimized the flight altitude limit. And by optimize, that means they raised it. Let me get the exact figure here. Now that they with this optimization, we'll call it, you have a takeoff altitude of 6,000 meters. I'm not a metric fan, so I don't know how that converts over the miles or anything, but 6,000 meters is quite an increase over the previous flight limit, which I'm thinking that was 1,000 meters. I mean, I'm not sure about that, but if I'm right, I mean, that's a wildly increase in the height there, 6,000 meters. Why do you need to fly that high? Of course, in the U.S. here, we're capped at 400 feet above, above ground level here, or sea level, 400 feet AGL, that's our cap. I mean, you can try to get a waiver and go higher, but or when you're flying over objects, you have options to go higher at that point too, under the current Part 107 laws. But what I think it may be there for is people who are flying, around mountains or whatever. Say you're in the ground and you have the drone like over the mountain or whatever. At that point, it may not even be 400 feet. So that gives you that ability to go higher on things like mountains or hills or like that. So my guess is that's what it's for. I don't really know. I don't know what the thinking was behind DJI or their engineers, but I mean, it's there. If you do run into situations like that where you're, the drone being 400 feet above you, doesn't, that makes sense, but doesn't, sometimes it may not make sense to be 400 feet above a much higher, elevation. I hope I explained that well enough, and that's just my thought anyway. That's of course the firmware update fixed some minor bugs. We always get the minor bugs fix here. Okay, and some additional notes here. It added the added features require the flap version 1.90, which came out the same day as this firmware update. That was a big flap update that brought the Mini 3 into the fold to fly on the the current version of the flap. The Mini 3 was that latest drone, not the Mini 3 Pro, but the Mini 3. And it says your camera settings will be reset after the firmware update. So check the camera settings in the flap. So that's good to know. And a lot of us do that anyways. When you do a firmware update, you kind of get your stuff reset again. So go in there and fix your camera settings back up here. And it also says the update fails, restart the aircraft, remote controller, and DJI Fly or Assistant 2 app to continue the update again, try the update again. So yeah, I mean, this update, adding the waypoints and let's get all the stuff here. The waypoints and the that's the only real biggie here. I mean, I guess the 24 frames per second in night mode was good, but this combined with the last firmware update, which added the night mode and the cruise control feature. I mean, this is they're just knocking it out of the park here with these firmware updates recently, and adding all these extra features to it. So for all the people who are unhappy with the original release of the Mavic 3 drone because it arrived with not many features working, and the DJI clearly said this before the release when you purchased the drone, that many of these features would not be working that the drone was going to have, and they would be upgraded in the January firmware updates, not January 2022 firmware update. But actually, a firmware update arrived slightly before Christmas that brought a lot of the requested features, and then the rest of them did arrive in January, and the drone was kind of complete then. according to the pre-release notes and stuff. But of course, the drone did have the one issue with the slow satellite acquisitions, which didn't really get fixed completely until almost the end of May, beginning of June with a firmware update. In March of 2022, they issued a firmware update that made it better, much better, but it still was an issue, and again, it didn't really get fixed until almost the end of May or beginning of June 2022, but it doesn't seem to be an issue at all anymore for most people now. So, okay, that's about it, on this firmware update for the Mavic 3. If you don't have it already, go out and get it. I know a lot of people don't want to grab these firmware updates because they're afraid of remote ID, but I think this drone was already enabled for remote ID already, I believe. So as far as I know, there was no remote ID stuff in this firmware update. So just go ahead and grab it. Even if you don't care about waypoints, remote waypoints, you'll still pick up the random bug fixes in there. And yeah, check out my little mini tutorial. I mean, it's not a full featured tutorial. It was kind of just getting started with waypoints. Shows you where to go to activate it and all the basics of getting up and running with it. I posted that up top when we first discussed it, but I'll put it down below in the the notes on this video here, the subject, whatever you call that stuff where you write all the stuff down. I'll put the link down there too. So yeah, if you have any questions about the Mavic 3 or the waypoints or anything like that, just leave that down below in the comments, and I'll try to address it in short order here and take care of you. And that's it. I'll leave some affiliate links down below for the Mavic 3 or the Mavic 3 Classic. If you'd like to pick one up, please consider using my affiliate links. They're Amazon affiliate links. You get 2 days free shipping if you're a Prime member. Easy returns from Amazon. And these are affiliate links, so I do get a small commission from these links. So keep that in mind. Try to help the channel out if you can. And give me the thumbs up. The more thumbs up, the more YouTube pushes this video out to the broader community and not just my subscribers. Ring the bell notifications so you know when I put more videos. If you're not already a subscriber, as Rick Smith said, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel and support a content creator. So we will see you in the next video, folks.